Hi, Trevor here, Life Reflection Requests. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It is fantastic you are here. Well, this channel has received a request, and it came about through conversation when I was actually saying that I was about to do a video on the Black Eyed Peas. And the guy thought, oh, what about, let's do that song. So yeah, that's where we're headed today. Now, I'm not going to say too much about the background of the Black Eyed Peas like I normally do, because we're going to do another video on these guys in a little while, so we'll find out a little bit more about who they are then. But I suppose to look at this song today, now the song we're looking at is Where is the Love? Now, you may know this story. There's a story in World War One. This is actually a true story where one Christmas Eve, one side decided to sing this tune, Silent Night. And then the other side thought, oh, listen to that. And they started singing as well. And eventually both sides came out of the trenches and they enjoyed a soccer game and a few other things that night. For a brief moment in which was a horrendous war in trenches with the sludge and all the rest of it, the stalemate and everything else, that was forgotten as humanity took over. I'm sure there was discussions around families and all the rest of it. And then, that finished and the war continued again. But just for that brief moment, under that black starlit sky, there was peace. And it wasn't peace because people had signed a document to say we're not having war anymore. It was peace because people wanted it. This song today asks the question, where is the love? Now we could start by looking at the world where it currently is, with the millions and millions and millions of people that are currently displaced in the world because of conflict. In the old days, the United Nations would provide humanitarian assistance for emergency situations, like there might have been a volcanic eruption or an earthquake, and they'd get in there and they'd provide assistance, and then after a short period of time they'd be able to leave and go on to the next thing. That's not the case anymore. The biggest disaster this world is facing right now is conflict. Now, interestingly, the UN doesn't really delineate between a conflict and a natural disaster. It just goes in there and provides humanitarian aid no matter what, and the amount of money they are spending is significant to keep it going. But if you think about the wars that are currently in this world, we think about Syria and Yemen, and we think, well, Syria's been going for 10 years, Yemen for about 5 or 6. The UN have been there every step of the way with that, and doesn't seem to be any end in sight for either of those conflicts. In fact, Syria is really, really bad at the moment. And you may be thinking, well, yeah, that's great. Well, what's that got to do with me? That's over another part of the world, and it doesn't really affect me that much. It's sad and hard, but yeah, what's that got to do with us here? Well, I think the world's gone a little bit crazy. Think about reality television as an example, the popular reality television in all the forms that there is. What is reality television all about? It's about voting people off. People who just don't quite get the game, or people who say the wrong thing at the wrong time, or a person who, doesn't group with the right group of people, they get voted off. And as interestingly, it's the people that create a little bit of havoc are the ones that tend to hang around. And the ones who are trying to do the right thing and try and get on with each other, well, there's just nothing compelling about people just trying to do the right thing. Whether it's the the survival ones, or whether it's the romantic ones, whatever they are, it's all about people getting voted off. who we're going to get out this week, who can we conspire with each other to get out this week. I'm sure this sort of influence is not good when we even though we may not be thinking much about it. It's just kind of seeping in there as well. You know, we need people to be absolutely perfect before we can get on with them. We might be thinking, well, reality television's not for me. You know, I get that. You know, really, reality television sucks. It really does. What about when we're driving on the road? You know, and we might be choosing to drive too close to the guy in front of us. Or we may be choosing to be in a rush because we need to get to our place, and we make it a little bit harder for other people to just be safe. What about people who do the speed limit and those who just want to go slightly over the speed limit and decide that I'm just going to get really close to you because I'm frustrated by you? What's so compelling about a minute of time saved to get to somewhere slightly quicker and slightly earlier, and making it dangerous for everyone else? You know, interesting, I'm thinking about the road. I actually go out on the road a fair bit with clients, particularly learners. And the amount of time I see people being really close to us or cutting us off and all that sort of thing, I'm thinking, well, you know, you were a learner once. Surely you would not have people to be patient around you. Because trust me, learning to drive is one of the hardest skills we'll ever learn, and we need to give people grace who are trying to work out how to do that for themselves. It seems to me that we are looking at people with a little bit of suspicion now. We're waiting to catch people out. We're waiting for people to jump on people the minute they say something wrong and to put our own point of view in. What the Black Eyed Peas are saying here is, where is the love? They're almost saying, the words are quite desperate here. Really what they're saying is, I don't think maybe love has gone. But then when you look in the eyes of the children that are in this video clip, you think, well, love has to stay just for the sake of the next generations. Otherwise, the next generations aren't going to understand what it means to get on with each other. They're just going to think that it's about getting the other person. I don't know what the answer is here. Yes, I wonder where this common humanity, where we all have bodies that are the same, they all may be different, and some people may have somebody that's missing, and some people might have a disability, but you know what? It's society that decides who's disabled and who isn't. Perhaps we need to remove the normal line that exists and just let everybody try and do the best they can. That's going to require us being patient and gracious with each other, but surely humanity is worth it. And I think deep down, this is what the Black Eyed Peas are trying to sing in this song, saying, hey guys, let's stop what we're doing. Let's focus on what's really, really important, and let's change the way that we do things, because the world cannot keep going the way that it is. I think maybe we've already crossed the line and it might be too hard to go back, but you know, if enough of us in our small parts of the world, because let's face it, I can't do much about the war in Syria. I can't do much about the war in Yemen. But at some point there wasn't a war in Syria. Then there was. So at some point the war started. How cool would it have been if it didn't? Now, whether it's a big scale war like that one, or there's little wars that are going on every day all through this world, two people who don't get on with each other, you know, there might be a committee that's running and there's a particularly disruptive person in that group, and we think, oh, how can we move on? And so we think, well, how can we get rid of that person? You know, because it's just not working. Well, perhaps more the answer is, how can we come to a compromise about what we're saying? Let's really, really listen to each other. Kids in the schoolyard, kids who might be bullies and they're going, who am I going to get tomorrow? Who am I going to pick on? That person's such a wimp, they've got a target on their back. I can't help but bully them. Do we stop to think how much hell their life is because of that bullying? Perhaps the best thing we can do is to try to understand why people are the way they are and to give them grace and patience. Love has to come from somewhere. And it needs to be stronger than the hate that seems to be in our world right now. I'm sure most of us want the world to be a better place. And we all feel like we're powerless to do anything about it. Well, but what we can do is we can do in our small part of the world the best we can to make a positive difference in this world. And that way, hopefully the communities around us will benefit, and then a community becomes positive, and then the community next to that one becomes positive. And who knows, if there's enough communities getting positive, it just may change the outcome of the world. I think people are a little bit scared at the moment of the world and the way it is. And I'm thinking perhaps it's time for the world to take notice of that and to make changes. So if there are any world leaders watching this right now, I doubt there would be, but if you are watching this thing right now, think, well, what orders can I give right now to change something for the better? So good on you, Black Eyed Peas, for bringing this song to the world. And it's great when you have the influence that these guys actually had to be able to use that influence for the greater good. So I trust that will all be an encouragement for you today. Let's be positive. Let's look for ways that we can make positive differences in this world. Well, on to the clip. There's a couple of versions of Where Is the Love Today. Now, this came off the Ella Funk album of 2003. This is the lead single from that album. It just goes to show how convicted the Black Eyed Peas were about this particular song and getting it out for worldwide release. Because they were seeing what was happening, and I'm thinking, what can we do? Try and change the thinking a little bit. So we've got two versions of Where Is the Love. We've got the official clip, and I suppose this is them calling out, urging, begging, pleading, absolutely everything they can do to try and get the world to listen to these lyrics, because they really, really need to be heard. So we got the official version, Faces of Children. What more can we say? If it's not for us, for the next generations, we need to change what we're doing. The neighbours next year, the ones that you think, oh, they're a bit weird, let's change the thinking to, oh, let's get to know them. Maybe they won't be quite so weird after that. And by the way, we've also got a live version of this one as well. You've always got to get the live version in there. And this is with the iconic Irish band U2. Now, U2 have also always been trying to get the world to take notice and to make changes about what we're doing. And so we've got a live version of the Black Eyed Peas with U2. So that's pretty cool to see those two guys together. Wouldn't be a sort of two bands you would often put together, but it works really, really well. So that one's there for you as well. Now, the links to both of those versions are in the description below, so that is where you will see them. Well, I trust this has all been an encouragement for you today. If you have come back for another video through Life Reflections Through Music, now obviously this is a request. So when requests happen, there's a bit of a pause in the normal series at the moment. I've got David Bowie ready to go, but because of this request, we just needed to do this one first. So if you'd like to make a request, feel free to drop it in the comments, or if you do know me, feel free to have a conversation with me. And here's a bit of a challenge. If you'd actually like to be the one that talks about why you like the song, we can actually do that. We can basically just play around with the video. We can get you in there. Very, very easy indeed. Even if it's just a sentence or a line or whatever it is. Now, feel free to, be involved in this channel if you would like. Well, that's it for today. We're going to be getting on to back to the life reflection through music series next time. So until then, I'll catch you around.